Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise, and today I'm going to be bringing you two of my sword and shield builds. Now these builds are built around raw damage as well as the hard basher combo in Metsu Shoryugeki. You can kind of like adapt them to different playstyles if you so desire, but just know that the intended purpose that I had in mind when I cooked these up is hard basher combo and Metsu Shoryugeki, and the other switch skill is really whichever one you prefer. So let's start things off with build number one. Now I did make a video specifically talking about the Valstrax set. In case you guys haven't seen that video yet, I would advise you to check that out because it explains how the Valstrax set works so that you guys don't have too many questions in regards to this particular build. I'll still briefly mention it here, but you know, the Valstrax set video explains it probably a whole lot better. So let's start things off with the weapon. Now for the weapon, we're going to be going with the Rampage sword because it's got a lot of raw damage. You can get it up to white sharpness. You can even get some affinity on it. And you know, you can really customize it to suit your needs, and this is the one that I personally chose. I'm not saying this is the best. This is the one that I enjoyed the playstyle the most for this specific build. So in terms of Rampage skills, you're looking at Sharpness Type 1, Non-Elemental Boost, and Affinity Surge. Now, Affinity Surge is going to nerf our raw damage a little bit, but it is going to give us 20% base affinity, which is pretty good. Non-Elemental Boost makes up for the fact that we lost a little bit of attack damage from the Affinity Surge, and then Sharpness Type 1 enables us to get to one little smidge of white sharpness with one handicraft, which is going to come very much in handy. Now, in terms of the armor set for this particular build, it's really a no-brainer. It's going to be the full Valstrax set because, like I told you guys in the Valstrax video, whenever I use the Valstrax set, I tend to just use every single piece. Now, in terms of our Petal Ace, we're going to be going for the Demon Petal Ace, but really you can use whatever you prefer. I just use Demon Petal Ace to get as much damage as possible if I happen to run past a couple of Spirit Birds that have the attack up. As you guys know, I don't tend to chase after Spirit Birds all that often, because, you know, it is what it is. I just rather go straight after the monsters, and it's not really a big deal. And then we have, in terms of talismans, as per usual, you only really need a talisman with 2 tier 2 slots. But as you guys are probably aware by now, I was also very lucky, and I have a talisman that has 2 slugger and 2 tier 2 slots. So the 2 slugger is probably going to be something that some of you guys might not be able to get in this build. Don't stress over it. It's really not a big deal. It's just kind of like the icing on top of the cake for this build. And if I had to sacrifice anything, it would probably be the 2 slugger that I have on here because we are going for as much raw damage as possible. Now let's have a look at the decorations that we have in this particular set. And on the sword we got nothing because Rampage sword does not have any slots. On the helm we have a sharp decoration as well as a grinder decoration. On the mail, another sharp decoration as well as another grinder decoration. On the bracers, another sharp decoration, which is going to give us 3 protective polish, which we're going to need in order to maintain the white sharpness on this blade. And then on the Valstrax coil we have a critical jewel level 2. On the Valstrax greave, we have a handicraft jewel level 3 and a grinder jewel level 1. Important note here, if you happen to be playing in multiplayer, you're going to have to replace one of these grinder decorations for brace. I know that it sucks. You're gonna have to, you know, actually sharpen your weapon twice before you sheath it, but the thing is, that is going to make up for itself because I've been trying to play this in multiplayer with my longsword friend without using brace, and no, it's impossible. You just can't do it. It's not going to work out. It's going to be very frustrating, probably for both of you. So just don't even try it. Just sacrifice one of those. And the good thing is, if you're playing multiplayer, that means there's another player there, so you can see when the monster is focusing them and use that opportunity to sharpen. So those 2 sharpens are not going to be the biggest deal breaker in the business. If you're playing solo, though, go with the 3 grinder decos. Now, in the charm itself, like I said, all you need is 2 tier 2 slots, and on those we're going to be putting 2 critical decorations to reach maximum critical boost. So when we look at the finalized build here, you have Dragon Heart level 5, which I've explained how that works in the Valstrax video. We have Resentment level 3, we have Resuscitate level 3, Critical Boost level 3, Weakness Exploit level 3, Protective Polish level 3, Speed Sharpening level 3, Slugger level 2, Hunger Resistance level 2, which is a bonus, and Handicraft. Now, if I could add a couple of sets into this list, I would probably try to work in Offensive Guard, But currently I don't really have a charm that kind of supports that, so I'm not going to be able to do that, because you would need a charm that either gave you the handicraft with good slots, or you would need a charm that gave you the offensive guard with good slots, which I don't have either of those. Why offensive guard? Because offensive guard actually gets triggered by Shoryugeki, which is pretty damn good, and you can get a little bit of damage boost in there. So this is my Valstrax set for the Sword and Shield. Personally, I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. In terms of switch skills, like I said, we're going to be going with Hard Basher combo, Metsu Shoryugeki. The slash, you can pick whichever one you want. I go for the sliding slash because you can basically do the plunging thrust down with the shield quite often, and personally I like it, but I do believe that potentially the advancing slash could be the better combo for this set. It might be a little bit more consistent, but to be honest, ideally, if you're playing this really perfect and not just doing random stuff like I tend to do, you won't use this particular attack that often because you'll want to initiate most of your combos with Hard Basher combo. Now, the thing about that, which is kind of like a little bit of a criticism that I have as to what they did with Sword and Shield, which is fantastic. I love Sword and Shield and Rise, but I do get the vibe that we don't really use Perfect Rush that much anymore, particularly if we're going with this playstyle. I feel like Perfect Rush might be relegated to either status builds or elemental builds, but I haven't even done the calculation on that, so I don't really know. Now, the two builds that I have for you today, they are both going to be raw damage builds, because that's kind of like what I've been playing, because I just really enjoy Metsu Shoryugeki, and I kind of feel that for elemental builds, you might want to actually go with the, what's the name of it, the windmill. You might actually want to go with the windmill because you get a lot of elemental damage hits, but I don't know, I feel like even on elemental builds, Metsu still reigns supreme. So, you know, it's kind of like one of those situations that we find ourselves in. But personally, I still love playing the Sword and Shield, and I've been playing the crap out of it. So, you know, it is what it is. But now, the second build is going to be more of a slacker build. So the first build that I gave you guys, that is the build that I use right now, that for me it deals the most damage out of all of my Sword and Shield builds. This build does not deal as much damage, but it is much more comfortable. Why? Because you don't have to sharpen at all, and every single hit, no matter where it hits, it is going to deal critical damage, because obviously we're going to be using the High Ninja Sword. Now, the High Ninja Sword is really good because it is a weapon with a lot of green sharpness, so you can either play it with, you know, you can get a little bit of handicraft in there and go for the blue sharpness, or you can just straight up go for like bludgeoner and just use that green. Now, naturally, the blue sharpness is going to give you a little bit of an edge, but the bludgeoner is going to be like super mega hyper slack mode, even more slack mode than this. So, you know, I'm going to leave it up to you guys how you prefer to do it. And I'll tell you which decorations you would have to replace to go for bludgeoner or go for blue sharpness, but, you know, we'll see about that. It's also got a lot of tier 1 slots, which means you can basically get grinder off of the weapon alone, which is pretty damn useful. It comes in with 200 raw damage, pretty good. And then on the rampage slots, you got Silkbind boost, which I personally use. I mean, you got Master Rider and Spirit Bird doubled, but I'm going to be going for Silkbind boost, and that also boosts the damage of Metsu Shoryugeki, which is pretty damn good, which, like I said, is one of the things that I try to use with these particular builds. Now, for the armor itself, we're going to be looking at the Kushala Glare for the head. We're going to be looking at Vike Mail S for the chest, Rathalos Braces S for the gloves, Anjanath Coil S for the belt, and Hunter's Greaves S for the shoes. And then we have Demon Petalace once again for the same reasons that I've mentioned. And we also have the same Talisman, which has 2 tier 2 slots, and in my case, also 2 Slugger. But you just need a charm that has 2 tier 2 slots to do the build that I have, and you basically won't have Slugger, which is not really a big deal. So let's look at the decorations on the High Ninja Sword. We're looking at 3 grinder decos right in there. So basically you get rid of the sharpening issue all in one go. Then you have Kushala Glare bringing in the 2 handicraft. That's going to take us into blue sharpness territory. We're going to be putting a brace decoration in there just in case we happen to be playing multiplayer. If you're absolutely crazy about min-maxing your build for solo, then instead of this brace jewel here, you'll want to use a stamina thief. Now, the Vike Mail, we're going to be putting 2 critical decos as well as a drain deco. Then on the Rathalos Bracers, another critical deco because, again, we have 100% crit. Why not use it? Then we have the Anjanath Coil S with attack decoration as well as a Drain Jewel and a Diversion Jewel. Now, this is for when I play multiplayer. Or even just when I'm playing solo to try and keep the monster's attention on me so that I can get more Metsu Shoryugekis off by the monster attacking me. Even though, like I said, Diversion Jewel is not particularly reliable, but I have that open slot, so why not? I figured I'd go for that. Then on the Hunter's Greaves, we have a Mastery decoration, and then on the Fatal Tempest Talisman, we have 2 Mastery decorations. Now, when you put the whole build together, you're going to be looking at Attack Boost level 7, Critical Boost level 3, Master's Touch level 3, Speed Sharpening level 3, Handicraft level 2, Slugger level 2, Stamina Thief level 2, Hunger Resistance level 2, Stun Resistance, Flinch Free, and Diversion. There's a lot of room to change stuff around in this build for things that you would prefer. So like, for instance, if you don't want to have the Diversion deco, you can put Stamina Thief on there. If you don't need Brace, you can put, you know, full Hunger Resistance if you want. Well, full Hunger Resistance for me, because that comes from my charm. You might not be able to get it, but you can get like some free meal or something like that. So the tier 1 decos, you can pretty much change them around however you prefer. The ones that I would recommend you keep is obviously the Speed Sharpening, because that is one of the more important things. Now, Master's Touch with 100% crit should be able to keep you at blue throughout most of the fight. Like, I've done a lot of fights with this weapon, with this particular build, and I've rarely been forced into sharpening while I'm in combat. Most of the times, the monster will either move to a different area, at which point, you know, it's a good idea to just like, oh, I'll just refresh my sharpening, no big deal. Or you might even kill the monster without having to sharpen, because that 80% really does proc quite often, as you can imagine, particularly when you have 100% crit. That's why I go for Master's Touch. Well, like I said, if you don't even want to deal with that and you're just like, I just want to go Bludgeoner, not even have to worry about it, just replace the Master's Touch decos for Bludgeoner and you're pretty much good to go. But, you know, at that point, you might also want to put in some Mind's Eye decos as well. You might want to cut down on some attack boost so that you can really go all out. But, you know, you're talking about a significantly different build at that point. This is the build that I did for using with the High Ninja Sword, and this is the one that I like to use, because most of the time you're going to be trying to hard bash the monster's face anyway. So you're going to be hitting, you know, weak spots and whatnot, so it's not like you need that much Mind's Edge in my opinion, but, you know, to each his own. Pick what you like to play. In terms of switch skills, we have the same thing, Hard Basher, Combo Sliding Slash, and Metsu Shoryugeki. And it is a pretty fun playstyle, pretty chillax. Something that I do feel need to mention that I kind of forgot earlier in the video is that if you are using the Valstrax weapon, do not forget that you need to get hit a couple of times to trigger the 80% health bonus. Otherwise, you know, using the Valstrax build is going to be kind of useless. But other than that, these are my 2 Sword and Shield builds that I'm using right now. I want to work on some elemental ones as well, because, you know, I did the elemental ones already, but I'm not particularly happy with the elemental ones that I've done in the past, so I'm probably going to rework those to include some quality of life, handicraft, some sharpening skills, some stuff like that to really you know, optimize those a little bit more, and we'll see what I end up coming up with. As you guys are probably aware, there hasn't really been a whole lot happening in Monster Hunter Rise recently. That's probably why you've seen me do videos about other things, and I want to make sure that you guys understand, I don't think this is a bad thing. I talk about this in the podcast a lot. I don't think this is a bad thing. Like, I keep coming back to Monster Hunter to do other things that I'm interested in, and I don't think I need, like, oh, give me like a super mega grind that I have to come back here and play every single day. But at the same time, this gives me time to basically tweak out a couple of builds and talk to you guys about them. I'm going to be talking about my Gunlance builds in the next video, most likely. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. If you guys really enjoy my videos, hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that stuff. And if you want to check out some more of the stuff that I'm working on, feel free to pop up over on Twitch, because I'm probably going to be streaming quite a few things there. There's a couple of games that I'm checking out. Obviously, I'm still going through Mass Effect 2. Because that's been a lot of fun. And, yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.